One of the great privileges I've had in my life is to work with kids, whether it's the youth groups at church that I've been able to work with for over 40 years, or whether it's the kids that I've been privileged to coach in all sorts of sports for over 30 years now, I guess. It's just a privilege to be able to work with kids. And one of the things I have found as you work with kids is maybe the same as you find when you're working with adults. They need something that motivates them to excellence. There's so much tendency in life to not stand out from the crowd, to try and be like everybody else. Peer pressure is very good at that, but peer pressure does not produce excellence. Peer pressure produces mediocrity. Peer pressure is going to maybe keep you from being laughed at because you never fall, but a pursuit of excellence is going to be something that will allow you to stand out and above the crowd. Not so that you can enjoy personal glory, but so that you can make the most of the talents and the abilities that God's given to you. The pursuit of excellence, I believe, is an absolute critical part of our lives. And if we miss that, we might miss out on one of the most beautiful parts of this life. I've noticed that when we talk about athletics, that a lot of kids seem to think that great achievement is almost magic, that going to state and winning the trophy is something that really is unattainable, that you either have to be really, really lucky or you have to have something special that they just don't have. But the truth of the matter is that those who excel in life, whether we're talking about physical pursuits or whether we're talking about spiritual pursuits, those who excel in life do so because they have tremendous focus. And it's focus that I believe we need, a laser-like focus. Have you ever noticed, really looked at a laser? I don't mean let it get in your eye because that'll mess you up, but a laser essentially takes the energy or the light and it distills it down to a very fine point. You can do that to such a fine point that you can actually cut things with that laser of light, that intensified energy that comes from focusing it down to a very narrow point. Our laser eye surgery is just one example of the different things that they're doing with lasers to take something that is broadly dispersed and distill it down to a fine point to where you can actually use it and work with it and do powerful things with it. I suppose every kid of my era understood that if they played with a magnifying glass outside. You know, the sun lights up the entire outdoors when you're out there as far as the eye can see when it's shining brightly. But you take a magnifying glass and you direct that sunlight through that glass and you get it to a fine point and it'll burn wood, won't it? I don't know how many little boys and little girls have burned their name in woods with a magnifying glass. Well, it's focus. It's taking something that is broadly dispersed and bringing it down to such a fine point that you can actually do something creative with it. This is what I believe we can do with the proper focus in our life. We can achieve excellent things. In 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 9, Peter, through inspiration, says, you're receiving the goal of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Some of your versions say the outcome of your faith. But just think about that, the goal of your faith. It's something very specific. It's something that we're absolutely focused on. It's not just a random thing where we find ourselves accidentally saved someday. That doesn't happen. It's an intentional pursuit. And of course, we know we can't save ourselves by our own works. We're still saved by the grace of God. But we also know that we have our part to do. We're commanded in all sorts of different areas to do certain things and refrain from others. They all help us to focus upon our goal. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 24, Paul said, do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Do you see the effort towards excellence that he's talking about? In a race, it's true, there are many participants sometimes. And in order for us to get that medal, to get the crown, we're going to have to give it our absolute best. We're going to have to be absolutely focused upon what we're doing. And if we'll do that, and we'll continue to do that, and train towards that type of excellence, with that type of excellence, we're going to find that we can achieve all sorts of things that heretofore we just thought were only achieved by magic, or somebody really fortunate, or somebody with much better talent or greater opportunities than we. You can achieve all sorts of things in life, excellence beyond your wildest dreams, if you'll just focus on what you're doing. Whether we're talking about focusing upon your studies in school, or focusing upon your work if you have employment that you enjoy, or whether we're talking about participating in sports, or whether we're talking about our service to God. We need focus. When everything is just scattered, when we're running aimlessly through life, we don't achieve much. It's only when we bring everything into sharp focus, when we have a goal of excellence set before us, and then we give it our all to achieve that excellence, that we actually can achieve remarkable things. And again, we do so as a gift of God. This life is something I'm convinced that is to be enjoyed. One of the things I've consistently told the kids I've worked with for all these decades is I have more fun than just about anybody I've ever seen. I believe that the blessings that God has given to us are to be used in a proper way for our enjoyment, and so that we can help others enjoy life, that they can find a proper satisfaction in life and in their service to God. Christians ought to be the happiest people in the world. I don't know why so many go around with sour faces and always look mad all the time. Does that sound like somebody who's focused upon the great gifts that God has for them? But for those who will seek excellence in life in the way that God commands us to seek it, for those who will give every effort in the endeavors that they find worthwhile, they're going to find that they're going to be able to achieve all sorts of things. And if we do it through the lens of our service to God, we're going to find out that these achievements glorify God. And they also enhance the enjoyment of life. You can have a wonderful life. You can achieve excellent things. But you're going to have to be focused. And as Christians, we need to be focused upon God, upon His Word, so we can know how He wants us to live, and then upon our efforts so that we can do it to the best of our ability. If we'll keep that focus in our prayer and ask Him for the assistance that we need from Him to accomplish the things He wants us to accomplish, again, I believe our potential is unlimited, or at least it's only limited by what God wants us to accomplish. The question is, do we have enough desire to accomplish those great things that God has for us in this life? You don't need a life of mediocrity. You don't need a life that just goes along with the crowd. But in order to break out from that mediocrity, you're going to have to get your focus right. You're going to have to realize what's most important in life. And then you're going to have to find out how you can obtain those things of importance. And then you're going to have to put every bit of effort into it. If you'll do that, you're going to achieve excellence in life. Most importantly, excellence as a servant of God. And someday, by God's grace, we will obtain the goal of our faith, the salvation of our souls. There's nothing more excellent than that. Let's get to the work of pursuing excellence. It's going to begin with focus and desire. Do you have that focus? And do you have the desire to serve God to the best of your ability? Something to think about, isn't it? Well, I hope this helps today. If you liked the video, please do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you hadn't. It'll help get the channel out to more people. But until next time, I pray that God will richly bless you as you seek to serve Him to the utmost of your ability so that you can obtain excellence for He and for Christ. God bless.